y'all, non-stop, y'all, to the beat, y'all, the body rock, y'all, so let's rock, y'all, non-stop, y'all, to the beat, y'all, the body rock, y'all, so let's rock, y'all.
Well, I'm curious, how did you all get into paranormal studies? I know some of you experienced your own encounters at young ages, and Kris, I think you're still kind of a skeptic, you say.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've been doing this since I was little. My dad and I, for fun, used to go and ghost hunt when I was like 11 years old. So it was just kind of a hobby, and I kept it a secret for a long time, and it's not much of a secret anymore.
Oh, my turn.
Yeah.
Testing 1, 2. Well, when I was a kid, I grew up in Alabama, and we grew up in this really, really old house, and things would happen, and I would tell my parents, and they wouldn't believe me, and then I went away to college, and then I had an experience in Gettysburg, PA, if you've ever been there. It's pretty full of activity, in my opinion, and it led me to start the Provincetown Paranormal Research Society, and I was lucky enough and blessed enough to get on Ghost Hunters Academy. So, I mean, I had no idea you could investigate the paranormal until I actually saw the show 7 years ago. I didn't know anyone could do that. I thought you could just like experience something, scream your face off, and run away. But apparently, you really can find things out there.
Did your whole family believe your house was haunted, or was it just you?
I mean, my parents never really talked about it. I thought it was. There was a dog that likes to run around the house. I used to hear footsteps in the basement. It's like your run-of-the-mill, like things that everyone, says that they experienced when they were young, and it's odd, but it happens.
It's funny because I had a lot of experiences growing up, and my mom grew up in a house that was very active. My father had experiences, so my whole family was really open to it. And then I met Jay and Grant, and it was kind of funny when I met them because even though I always had the interest, I never knew there was people crazy enough to be out there looking for it. So I was just interested in it right away, and a few years later they pulled me into their group, and it was honestly just after we had lost 5 people in like 11 months. So it's kind of in one of those weird spots of needing to know that there was something else. And I've been doing it ever since, but yeah, I've always been a skeptic. You're trained from a young age that ghosts don't exist, and there's no monsters under their bed, and all that stuff. So it's almost, you're retraining your brain with the experiences you do have, and Barry and I go back and forth all the time, which is fun.
See, I feel like I was conditioned from an early age to believe they do exist. I feel like I had the opposite upbringing.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's just a matter of parents not wanting their kids to be freaked out, which is pretty obvious, but when you're older and you start having the experiences and you can't explain them, you kind of go back and have to rethink it.
So I had terrible parents.
I think for me as well with these other guys, I experienced something at a young age, although not in Alabama. Mine was back in Ireland, and seeing that person coming up the stairs, who I later found out, of course, was the spirit in the house, was one of those cornerstones which led me on to a course of research and development, which has spanned almost 2 decades now.
How did you, in the beginning, because I remember being interested in this as a kid, and I didn't know, we didn't have the internet, you couldn't, find other people. How did you first start meeting up with people and discussing these things?
Ireland's a pretty small place, and we do like to talk. We love tales of ghosts and myth, and banshees and fairies, and all that put together, of course, leads to a great social structure, I believe, because it's something which does bring people together, and that's what we've seen in Ireland, of course, as well, and that there are a lot of people out there interested, and of course that led on to the development of groups, which is what we hear today.
What about the rest of you?
I would have to say it was definitely the internet. I had an interest on my own for years and years, and then I found a team online, and they were a Taps family group in Sacramento, and I investigated with them for quite a while. I actually met Grant on MySpace, like that's how, we started messaging each other because I was a part of the Taps family group, and so it just kind of snowballed from there. But I think that's a really good network for anybody who's interested in the paranormal and interested in, maybe going out with another team or something, the internet is like the perfect starting point.
Honestly, for me, like I said, I always had the interest, but then I met Jason and Grant, and a big thing that really gets me into it is the history. I've always been a history nerd, always been big on genealogy especially, and learning about people and their lives. And if what we think is true and people do haunt places, it's good to know about the people that could be there. So that's pretty much what's always drawn me into it.
Now, is it the places that are haunted, or have you ever met haunted people?
Ooh. We're actually dealing with that right now, and you're going to have to wait to see what happens.
Now, where do your cases come from? Maybe this is a question for Rob more, or you guys might know. Do you have people who write in, or things you just hear?
We have people that write in and suggest cases. We have the Taps family sends us cases for local cases for GH, some for international, and we have researchers and story producers.
What about, Adam mentioned Gettysburg. Have you ever done a show there, considered doing something there? It's supposed to be one of the most haunted places on.
Yes, we did a case in Gettysburg. Do you want to talk about it?
We did a case in Cashtown. It was the Cashtown Inn, I believe
Yes.
it's called. It was a really, really cute old place. Robert E. Lee had marched through there with hundreds of thousands of troops on their way to Gettysburg. We're told that he stayed there with a bunch of other generals, and that place was crazy, crazy, crazy. We had a good time. There was a picture frame that was caught moving on camera, which was wild. A bunch of stuff happened. I know I ended up getting sick from like high EMF levels or something, but I think that's the closest we've gone to Gettysburg.
And I need to tell you that the day after the show aired, the Cashtown Inn was booked for a year. If you want to stay there.
Yeah, I know Gettysburg really tries to discourage, ghost hunters going out after dark on the battlefields and stuff, so it's kind of tough to get in there sometimes. But it's one of those places you can go during the day and investigate too, for sure.
That's where the activity is, though. I'm going to say at night on the battlefield. It is.
That's illegal, Adam.
Okay, illegal.
Oh, they're here now. They're unhappy.
Rock y'all, non-stop y'all, to the beat y'all, the body rock y'all, so let's rock y'all, non-stop y'all, to the beat y'all, the body rock y'all, so let's rock.